Hi, welcome back everyone to Spooky Japan. We have special guest John. He is the founder of Houston Investigations. Yes, and exploring the supernatural with John. One thing I like about John is I found you originally on TikTok when I do Bella Spooky Tales. That's also what I do on TikTok. One thing I like about your TikTok, John, is that and also one reason why I was telling Irene I wanted you in the podcast is you do new information for like people looking to start investigations, just like where do I turn to learn information, and you actually post information daily.
Well, I try to. One of the things I post daily on my Facebook page is, well, I do it on a number of Facebook pages. It's gotten kind of popular. Is I
Yeah,
have a paranormal term of the day that I put out, and I have about 220 of them now. I haven't counted them lately. I was at 207, but I added a bunch the other day. And I get a lot of comments from people that say they like to get that little uh, blurb every day. And I have found that when you're trying to teach terminology to people, when you've got that much terminology, it takes it's boring. You don't want to sit there and listen to 200 terms and go through a dictionary. But if you just take it a small pill at a time, one word at a day, people
yeah.
seem to really like it. So, but I'm doing it for about 6 sites right now.
Okay, yeah. You do it for TikTok. So I also saw you put on there for new investigations. I believe you also posted how to's for investigating, stuff like that.
I do have
That's-
training sessions. Now, originally, I started my training sessions because we had a academy here in Houston that was called Leisure Learning, and I could rent the classroom from them to set up to. They provided a lot of the materials in the classroom, the screen and things like that, and the projector. So I could rent it for $35. They would publish it in their bulletin. They were kind of like a college in that they put out a newsletter every month, and people would sign up for classes. And I would film us about once a month and do it in the spring and in the fall.
Mhm.
And I wanted to find people that wanted to learn about ghost hunting, but I wanted them to be able to work with me on a ghost hunt. So I would show them how to use tools, the tools that we have and the tools we use and why we do what we do.
Mhm.
So when they came and wanted to go on a ghost hunt with us, they would fit right in. That led to another thing in that we needed to have them go on a ghost hunt. So we had actually been to Belleville, Texas, on a tour of the haunted houses and stuff there, the old houses.
Mhm.
One of the guys there in Belleville, his name was Newman, that runs Newman's Bakery there, took us to a couple of cemeteries that we went to, and those cemeteries were in pretty bad shape. They needed some TLC. So we happened to capture an EVP from a little girl in one of the cemeteries that said, "Help me." And our people were moved when we got back, and everybody heard it. So we went back and we took some lawnmowers and some weed eaters and stuff, and we looked for this little girl's grave, and we found it. Some of the people on our team, some of the ladies, had enough forethought that they brought a teddy bear and some toys and stuff. Which, when we found a little girl's grave over under a tree next to a fence line that was, not looking real good, it needed a little care. We left the toys there. And actually, we've been back a number of times and we have not had the little girl come back to ask us anything. And she had contacted us again. And just a half a mile down the road, there was another cemetery that needed a lot of work too. So what we would do is go in and cut the yaupon bushes and stuff so you could get up to where the graves are and stuff. And we'd use the people from our classes to do that. We camp out in the cemetery overnight. And while we're camping out in the cemetery, we would do our ghost hunting. We'd set up our cameras and our equipment stuff and do ghost hunt with them so that they would get some experience ghost hunting, but also they were working on a community project at the same time.
That's good. Yeah, because it's always good to know who to go to when you're beginning ghost hunting. There's so much information out there. You can't really rely on the internet because you don't know what's real and what's fake, but you have the background in it, so you also have the knowledge, and you just post like you said, the word of the day, term of the day, and just like the information like that. And then you said you go out there and you also people to be able to get that experience, which is good.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, on our team Facebook page, we also have forums and some stuff, that we share with our team members and stuff. We do ask for contributions there on that site. We are a 501c3, so we're trying to keep ourselves going with a little income coming out of it. So if people don't mind making a contribution to our 501c3, we would really appreciate that.
Where can they find that online to look for that?
If on Facebook, if you go and look for Paranormal Houston Investigations, there is an open group and there is a closed group.
Okay. How many years in the paranormal do you have?
Well, we've been investigating paranormal experiences for almost 20 years now. Not quite 20 years, but we're getting close. Now, I've had paranormal experiences all my life. I've had all kinds of things that I couldn't explain. I've got things that have happened to me that I don't just tell everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Unless I know you real, and that I know that you've had similar sort of experiences, or that I, get to talking to you, and then I'll share them with you. Now, I was a rescue captain in the fire department for about 10 years. I was with a lot of people when they died. I noticed changes occurring at the moment of death and stuff. So I became more interested in the death process.
Okay, so what was you said you've had experiences since you were a child. Is that what got you into the paranormal to start investigating it?
Well, yeah, because I mean, it's pretty deep rooted. Now, my brother and I would actually share dreams. It kind of shocked my mother when she walked in one night, woke us up. We were in the middle of a dream we were sharing, and it was a very active dream. We also had times when we had out-of-body experiences and would be moving around the room above our beds and stuff. I was too afraid to. I know that one time I went outside the house, but most of the time I was too afraid to go any further than that because I was having difficulty learning how to propel myself. And I don't know, all of a sudden it stopped. And I haven't had an out-of-body experience in quite some time now.
What has been your favorite place to investigate?
I have many that are very favorite places. Gosh, and I have many on the bucket list to do. But I guess one of my favorite places, I would say the city of Galveston. It's not from Houston. It's probably one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
In 1900, they had a storm there that killed 10,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
And, almost anywhere you go in Galveston is haunted.
Okay.
Mm.
What has been your scariest experience? Experience. I don't know why I can't say that you've had so far on investigation.
Well, I really can't say that I've been really scared. I don't know why. I feel very blessed and pretty protected, so that I don't think anything, nothing's ever really harmed me. I've had people around me harmed. Probably that was a scary experience for me in a certain way, because I mean, you can't see the entity when they're attacking one of your partners.
Oh, yeah.
And if you don't, you can't grab hold of them. What do you do? So there's a little moment of panic there, until you get control of yourself and you start telling it to leave you alone and stuff and try to take control of the situation. So I can't say that other than that I've really had a really scary moment. Oh, well,
something kind of grew used to.
Oh, yeah. Well, there is one that really kind of made the hair on my neck stand up. I was getting some EVPs, and we were talking in the recorder, and we were talking to something, and I could hear it, talking. And I said, "How close are you?" Or it had said something about being close, and I said, "How close are you?" And right in my ear, it said, "Real close." And I mean, it was there, and it scared the crap. The hair on my neck stuff. I didn't wasn't wait, I wasn't expecting anything to be right in my ear.
You see the hair on your back going zoom like this.
I felt, God Almighty, it scared the crap out of me.
One of those moments. Did this really happen?
Like,
Yeah.
like, now what do I do? Like, okay, yeah.
Well, my feeling was I looked at everybody around me and said, "Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that?" Oh, yeah.
Not just me. Okay, we're good.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now calm down. Let's see what we can do about this, all right?
Yeah. I was hoping I wasn't the only one that heard it.
And meanwhile, your heart's going thump, 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 right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there was nothing really to fear there. It was a surprise, and there was nothing harmful, but it was such a surprise. I was taken, it kind of scared me.
Yeah. Especially when you wasn't expecting it.
No, how close are you? Very
Right.
closer, closer, wow. Did y'all hear that?
Someone really wanted to talk to you and scare you that night.
It
Did
did.
you feel the cold air in front of you when you had that?
I don't recall. I think I was so surprised that I lost track of everything around me.
Like everything goes, okay, we're done.
But what I'm hearing is, and I love to death, it didn't show up, is the EDI data logger.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't want to show up. But anyway, it records the temperature, the pressure, all that moment. And if you set it up with your video recorder, track, see what's going on around it at the time that you get the different recordings. So, I love that instrument. I think it's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Yeah, Irene and I definitely know you were saying.
Yeah.
You're definitely saying about how you don't tell some people some of your stories until you know them. Irene and I definitely know that because we're in Japan, where we're probably the only two people in Japan that we can at least find that talk about the paranormal. The paranormal here, because I'm in Nagasaki, I'm 2 hours away from both the Nagasaki bombing and the Hiroshima. Yes, and she's in Tokyo.
And yeah,
but
I mean, no matter where you go, you get the creepy stuff on her side, and you get the weird stuff on my side.
Okay.
So you get the creepy and the weird go together. They go, ooh, okay, because her side is like really old stuff, right? My side is more like the new and the old mixed together, and you get a whole wad of mess.
Yeah, because I have medium skills. Irene is a clairvoyant, so
yeah.
So there's stories that if we tell people, there's just if you don't understand either of them, our stories are not going to make sense to you. But also here in Japan, we can't talk about the paranormal other people because it's the most taboo thing around, where they think you're crazy or act like you're back in the day, probably witchcraft.
Yeah. And with us, with being a clairvoyant, you have to learn a little bit of witchcraft to go with it, right?
Yeah.
How to cleanse, how to remove bad energy and stuff like that. So it goes hand in hand. So yeah, I'd say, are you a witch? I go, yeah. But a good one, right? And I think it's hard for her and me to say, like, we see ghosts, okay? We see spirits. they can see us. They know they can see us. Of course, they know they can see us, but we see them too. And like, we can't tell anybody here.
Yeah.
So we just lock it, put it in a box, and save it for another rainy day.
Well, when I was in high school back in the 60s, one of the girls I went to school with was from Japan. Her name was Tina Suto. I don't know. Her American name was shortened to Tina. I don't know what it really was.
Mhm.
I always knew her as Tina. But her dad was Dr. Suto, made many trips to Japan, and he was studying the radiation fallout from Nagasaki and Hiroshima. And he had all kinds of stuff around the house that he would show us in pictures and stuff of things that occurred because of the radiation. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
very much aware of that.
And there's a museum next to where she lives. It's called the Peace Museum, and yeah, and it has all kinds of haunted items. They're all melted from the radiation, and letters of doctors, letters of people, children, pictures, like stuff that'll make your stomach turn. But it is haunted in that area, in that museum.
Sure.
And yeah, and we went when I went in there, I got really sick. Like 3 hours, like I was heaving, and I was thinking, I think the same thing what they were feeling, right? And I said, "Yeah, we gotta get out of here. We gotta get out of here. Well, what time are you leaving here? What time are you leaving here?" And I was crying, like I was laying down on the chairs there. And I said, "Yeah, I don't feel good." We finally left the place. I said, "Okay, I'm I'm thirsty. I want some ice cream." Like that, it just night and day. But yeah, if you ever get a chance to come and visit the Peace Museum in Nagasaki, it'll just change your head.
Yeah.
There's museums out here. That museum is like 2 hours away from me. But there's also museums out here about the war where it's also because obviously back in school we learned about the U.S. side of the war, but there's also museums out here that went into more history of it, of the war from their side, which is very eye-opening to also get this side of the story and the
Yeah.
history compared
So,
to just what we
yeah.
learned back in America.
Yeah.
And I don't think, if you get one sided, you tend to be one sided. But I think you have to learn both sides of everything, right?
Sure.
And, I noticed that there was a lot of American soldiers who did die in Japan, but I noticed a lot of people who would spend money to make a monument and bury the body and put a nice monument in bronze for them to commemorate their death too. So there was a lot of people who really did care.
Yeah.
And you know they're saying that, oh, it was the enemy. I think it was the government who was doing that, but the people were not really like that at all.
Well, it's funny right now, right today, even we've got wars going on in half the countries in the world, and we don't seem to learn anything from having war, do we?
No,
No,
I
it's
think it
just
just
money
made
at the
people
issue.
more stupid. you know?
It does kill a lot of young people,
Yeah,
and
and
when it's said and done,
yeah,
what for?
yeah, and the victims are the people who had nothing to do with it.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Just the innocent get injured.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the more technology we get, the more dumber we get, and we use it for the wrong reasons.
Well, let's face it, I think a lot of wars are fought because big business makes money when
Hmm.
there's and profit. And so that profit is what drives these things. They put out propaganda to promote,
Hmm.
support war effort for this or that or why we're going to do it. And it's crazy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Have you been to any cemeteries where there were war um, um, casualties?
Yes.
How was the energy?
Uh, I have to say that in some places it's very interesting experience. I've been to the Punch Bowl in Hawaii, where they buried some of the American soldiers there and sailors. I have been on the Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
That was a very moving experience for me. I felt it very deeply.
Mm.
Uh, I would urge everybody to go there because it's an experience that you really ought to have.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of the Arizona, I looked over with the ship under the water, right? I
Yeah.
felt something grab my neck, try to pull me in the water.
Wow.
And I looked at my mother and I looked down below, and it was like I was in kind of like a trance.
Oh,
I wasn't myself, okay? I didn't know what the heck was going on. That was before I could do all this stuff, right?
yeah.
And I finally went, oh, like this. And I shook my head. I shook my whole body. I said, I got to get out of this. But if I was that close to the water, and I tell you, I would have went in.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Well, it's amazing that after all these years, oil is still coming up from the Arizona. You
Yeah.
yeah,
still see it coming up.
but
I'm surprised it still is.
I don't think it was that. I think it was something paranormal that happened to me that made me get into this trance.
Oh
Now,
yeah, there's still so many souls down there.
Yeah, and I don't know what it was. I don't know what it did, but I was getting dizzy, and I couldn't even stand up on my own 2 feet afterwards.
one of my sons was in the Navy, and he actually served there on the memorial for
Mm.
some while he was in Hawaii.
Hawaii is a very fantastic original place because you got so many religions. You got the Fiji, you got the Samoa, and they got all these different beliefs put in. So yeah, and you got the Buddhism too, because they have a big Buddhist temple there too. So you get all these different kind of spirits with all these different kind of all mixed in together. And yeah, it can be. There are some haunted places in Hawaii too. I know that too.
Oh yes.
Well, in my little paranormal term of the day, I've got a lot of I've added some Japanese and some Chinese and stuff in there. So some of those terms are actually, from
I've I've shared your Japanese ones in our Paranormal Japan group. So
Yeah,
okay,
it's
okay,
your term of the day. I see all over. I see a lot of people posting your terms of the day in their groups too. So I'm like, man, this guy's work is going farther than he knows.
yeah, yeah,
yes. And I have a lot of people comment on it, and all of a sudden I'll get a message from out of nowhere. Somebody saying we sure appreciate you doing it and everything,
Yeah.
and I think it's a good way to do it. So
Well, it's a good
and
way to
yeah,
get knowledge out there. And like I was saying before, unfortunately, if you're new to the paranormal, where do you turn? Because there's so much out there that it feels overwhelming, and there's not a lot of people true to the paranormal who just, unfortunately, they're not out there for the paranormal or to help the other side. They're there for to
to get
try and
famous.
get fame or fake something. And unfortunately, do you learn starting out? Do you want to learn from someone who fakes it? No, because
Yeah,
they probably don't know what they're doing or talking about either. If they're just out there faking evidence.
yeah,
well, for the most part, I try to post information about how to do things and stuff. I don't
Right.
post information about us doing it particularly. Now,
Yeah.
sometimes I share something about it, but I try to point out the proper way to do it, or why or how I would like to have you do it if you're on my team, and how I'd like my team to do it. Because anybody that gets this information, I want them to be able to come on board and work with my team.
Yeah.
exactly.
Now, a lot
And yeah,
of people are just out there putting stuff up that they want you to feel spooky. It's kind of like some of the shows on television, even.
Yeah.
They've got and they've got to have something happen in order for it. And I know that they're throwing rocks and they're faking stuff. I don't anymore because it's not real.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of people say that's the one thing. There's some shows that admit they do it, but there's some shows out there that wish, like Taps, for instance. I loved them. When they first started out, they had episodes that they wished would air because they actually disproved places were haunted. But of course, the networks are just like, don't do this. We don't want this. No one wants to. This place is not actually haunted. We debunked it. People don't want that. Viewers don't want that.
So, you got to give people what they want, and it's just that we're weird, and we want some strange stuff. I mean, like when I was in the fire department, everybody driving by the scene of the wreck, they got to stop and look. I mean, what's that do for them? I mean, are they actually going to see blood? Are they going to see a body? Why are they stopping? Why are they looking? It's something that's in us that I can't explain. And if you really think about what you're doing when you do this and stuff, all you're doing is stopping where somebody's going to rear end you. You're going to cause another wreck or something.
Yeah. But we're curious, stupid jerks. We have to stop. We have to look.
Irene looks because she can actually see this, see the spear or not. So that's why she looks.
Yeah, well, you see, if there's an ambulance going by, I'll go, okay, that one's got a heart attack. Okay, that one's dying. And I think, I said, yeah, I don't like this. Yeah, I'm not doing this. It freaks me out even to this day because I'm saying, okay, yeah, that person's bleeding to death. Oh my God, like, And it's really hard not to feel that. Tell me to turn it off, right? Yeah. Okay.
I wish I could sometimes.
Well, it's kind of aggravating to us when we're in the fire service and stuff because, it makes you wonder, why am I out here trying to help people if this is the way they behave, They are false and fake. They come up to you and they'll be looking over your shoulder while they're standing there saying, well, Mr. So-and-so, I'm just like his daughter. I care so, and all they want to do is go back and tell the neighbors what's going on,
Yeah.
Getting in the way too.
Yeah.
Somebody else from working to help him,
Yeah.
Like, please, I'm trying to help you. Like, please, I'm trying to help this person, And then they're standing in the way and said, well, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, let me do my job. You right?
Yeah. But I guess it's human nature. I guess it's something that we are going to have to accept and learn how to deal with it. So
I bet there was a lot of fatalities in your job too, isn't there?
Well, when I'm not in it anymore. I was blown up in an explosion. And I actually burned my lungs, which is another paranormal experience because I don't know why I quit breathing. Some made me stop breathing. I got enough fire in my lungs, but I hadn't shaved that day, like today. Fire came up under my helmet. It burned all the hair on my face into my skin. It was like I got stung by 1,000 bees. It burned the hair out of my nostrils. It burned the lashes off my eyelids. And it burned the hair off my eyebrows, and it burned halfway back in my helmet. So, but for some reason, God instructed me to stop breathing, or something. It made me stop breathing, and I didn't inhale any more of that fire. I'd had a lot worse scar tissue than I have. So, but I've had a lot of paranormal experiences in the fire service where God actually, I swear, took me in His hand and protected me.
That's good. Do you feel like having near-death experiences kind of opens you up to more of the paranormal side? Because I know people who had near-death experiences or temporarily did die but got revived feel like they all of a sudden are more sensitive to the other side.
There are a lot of people that is the case. Now, I have personally had 2 near-death experiences where I had to be resuscitated from drowning. And I didn't have any special experience from it, but I know people that have. And so I know that the stories they tell, and being an empath, when they tell that story, I can kind of relate to it and
Yeah.
understand what they got from it, and feel it almost as if I had it myself. But so I know that these experiences are real,
Yeah.
and I'm always interested in hearing near-death experiences from people because they're very interesting, and a lot of them they're different in different ways.
Yeah.
One interesting thing is when you have certain conversations with certain spirits, do they tell you their life story, or do they just put bits and pieces to you?
The experiences I've had were just bits and pieces for the most part. Now, I have to say that one cemetery I was telling you about that we went out to, and we took people out and we camped there in the cemetery and we were cutting that brush away and stuff. One of the unusual things in life is really unusual in lots of ways. Paranormal, let's face it. One of the guys in my group that had taken one of my courses called me and said, John, my girlfriend would like to come and she hasn't taken the courses. Is it all right if she comes along to the cemetery? And I said, sure. So a couple of days later, his girlfriend calls me and says, John, thank you so much. I just learned that I have family buried in that cemetery.
Wow.
Wow.
So what are the chances of that?
Yeah.
So when she shows up, we get up there on a Friday evening or Friday afternoon, and we start our cleanup and we set up our camp and stuff. After we're getting ready to cook dinner and stuff, she goes to her car and comes back from her car with a shoebox. And in this shoebox, she has pictures of her relatives that are buried in that cemetery. She had 86 relatives in that cemetery.
Wow.
Wow.
It was kind of an experience for us to sit around the campfire in a relaxing atmosphere. And she was telling us stories about these people, what she knew about them. And it made our team connect up to the cemetery a whole lot better because we knew the history of some of these people. And 3 weeks ago, we've gone to the cemetery now for almost 10 years, or maybe longer. It may be close to 20 because you know what, we started training our people out there. So
Yeah.
we've gone there for a long time. And so there was an experience that tied us to the people that are buried there.
Do you
Now you
ever
said,
go
ahead,
ahead?
Irene.
No, it's okay.
So you
I'll do
have
it after.
a class you have a class in the paranormal. I've actually also have taken new investigators out to like some of the locations I knew that were haunted, but the ghosts were friendly, and I've
Yeah.
trained some people there. And there's been a lot of people that I kind of wish I really didn't. And I only say this because their idea of the paranormal, and I didn't really stick with the paranormal after seeing what it really is. Their idea of the paranormal is, well, in Ghost Adventures, this doesn't happen. You're laughing because you know what I'm talking about. Where a lot of people's idea of the paranormal, a paranormal investigation, is, in Ghost Adventures, there's all this activity. You don't really have to wait around. I'm like, I wish that was the case. Sometimes, a lot of times, it is sitting and waiting for something to happen. Ghosts just don't. Spirits don't just come and do stuff on commands. I mean, we wish that was the case where we walked in and it was just as simple as that, is you turn something on and the spirit's like, okay, I'm here. Hi, I'm here, and make all your equipment go off and talk in a spirit box. So I'm like, it's not like that. It's a lot of waiting. It's not, yeah, it's just a lot of, and I always hate it when people refer to Ghost Adventures or whatever other show that just makes it look more interesting.
Yeah.
Well, you got to take it in perspective too that some of these series, especially here lately, some of them are filmed over a week. They'll spend a week at a site, and they're filming the whole time they're there, so they can pick the best parts. And it seems like something is happening every minute when it really isn't. And there are times when you'll go on an investigation and get absolutely nothing. And, it's like you were talking about. If you go out on some of those and you try to debunk it, well,
Yeah.
if you don't have anything, there's nothing to debunk. You can only assume that there's nothing there. You didn't do anything. And you weren't able to document anything being there. So, I mean, a lot of them are like that, where you get nothing, period.
Yeah. Sometimes haunted locations it's a hit and miss. People don't understand that. It's just more of a if the spirits there want to communicate with you, and sometimes it's also about. And I always say this: it's about the energy of the person going in. If they don't,
Yeah.
sometimes spirits react more with other people. It's just dependent on your energy that you're giving them. And they're like, "Nah, I don't want to mess with this person." Because there's been times where I've separated from groups with people in an investigation because I knew that their energy, the ghost just were not having it, and they wondered why I always got more evidence than they did. Because it's because it's you. That's
Yeah.
just not
You
why.
gotta check your mojo in here and
Yeah.
come out, think
I,
about something, get rid of your head, and go back in again. Sometimes you just, it takes, you know, like, like, what's wrong with me. And then there's other things that, like, oh, okay, we're gonna do this investigation. We're gonna set up all these lights and balls and set up this and that and that, and all you got all this equipment, and you're saying, okay, there's nothing here. Bye. Like, like,
It's also how respectful you are to them, because it also goes with the energy. Is sometimes they're just not respectful enough, and I'm like, I need
yeah,
to separate because this is why they don't want to communicate with you. Is they still want the respect.
yeah, yeah,
well, I believe that too. And one of the things I tell some of my students is that I have learned that a lot of these spirits do not want to appear to you till you are ready to see
yeah,
them. And for
Yeah,
some, they are sensing that you're not going to respond well, and they really looking out for you and protecting you by not showing up. So, you got to be ready for it. And I
yeah,
have people tell me, well, I want to see one, or I'm not going to believe it. And yet I can tell from looking at them and talking to them that if they saw one, they might even have a heart attack and die. You know,
yeah,
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 they're not ready. They want to see it, yeah, but they're not ready to see it.
yeah. They're too eager to see something, right?
They don't.
Because they said we gotta see ghost, we gotta see ghost. Like, really, like, and I find the older spirits, like the older spirits who died at an older age, are more reserved than the younger ones. The younger ones would come out more than the older ones. The older ones would sit back and look at you like this, like, what are you up to?
Well, I wonder in the future what's going to happen, because the young people today are all into texting and into electronics so much. In
Yeah,
the Are they going to have ghost electronics to communicate with us or something? Because they can't talk to you. I mean, they won't talk to you now. They got to text you.
yeah, yeah. Oh,
oh my
send me an
gosh,
email.
I would love that piece of equipment. We let the ghost text you, so you put the equipment down there, and you hold the other one, and it sends you text messages.
Yeah, that's probably what will happen in the future. Or
Yeah,
You see, that's why I don't use equipment. I only have two cat balls in my ear. That's my equipment.
well,
Yeah,
I use dowsing rods.
yeah,
I was taught to use dowsing rods in my teenage years,
yeah,
and I believe in them, and they work for me real well, and they work
mm,
for me when other things don't. So
mm,
even if the equipment's not going off or something, I
yeah,
can come out and say, "Is there somebody here?" If there's somebody here, step close to me, and
yeah,
they seem to cooperate with me.
yeah,
And ask if they'll talk to me with a recorder or something like that, and they'll
yeah.
say whether or not they're going to cooperate, which saves me some time.
Mhm.
And I can get some information from them. We've used them to locate graves that were unmarked. So dowsing rods are a great tool. And a couple of the videos I did was that if somebody wants to go and start ghost hunting, they could start with a cell phone and dowsing rods. And I
yeah.
show them build dowsing rods out of coat hangers and show them how to use the dowsing rods so that they can. And I've got a thing on the cell phone and some of the apps that they can use for ghost hunting, and they're all set to go ghost hunting. You know,
Yeah, sometimes low tech is the best. You know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't take, a lot of people think that like I have to spend, it's like I want to go ghost hunting, but I don't have the thousands of dollars the equipment is. And I was like, I never spent thousands of dollars on equipment. I have other responsibilities in life that's paying thousands of dollars for equipment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, actually, I spend nearly $1,000 a month myself right now, but at the same time, I'm going to have to cut back because it's getting into my food allowance.
Yeah. Yikes. Time to cut back, right?
You're definitely a true paranormal investigator when you're willing to spend your food money on equipment. Just
Yeah. And you know, it's different equipment. It's not wasteful equipment. I mean,
it's
No.
different equipment is different things, definitely.
Yeah. I still think a good 35 millimeter camera with a telephoto lens, you can't screw up with that, and you got good film to back you up.
well, that's true. But at the same time, I've still got my 35 millimeter film camera,
Mm-hmm.
and I've gone to digital because it's so much. You take a lot more pictures. It's cheaper. You don't have to develop film. You don't have to wait a week or two to get it back. You know, and so there are some reasons to go digital.
Mm-hmm.
That you know, and it's the same with the tape recorders.
Yeah.
A lot of people still like to use a real tape recorder
Mm-hmm.
because they feel like that some of the communications are electromagnetic
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and that they're transferred electronically rather than through sound.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the tape might get it better than a digital recorder. So
Yeah.
these things, you have both going at the same time, and every time you use a tape, you've got to use a clean tape. You've got to use one that's never been used before.
Yeah.
You can't use one you've erased from because some of that doesn't erase and it's in the background and it can bleed through. The only way you're sure that what you're getting is new evidence is
Yeah.
evidence. It's using new tape.
I've seen that happen where people thought they caught evidence and it turns out it was just overlapping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brett says sometimes the cheapest is the best. A digital voice recorder does amazing stuff, and a cat ball. Yeah, we all do the cat balls.
Yeah.
Well, cat balls are cheap. You know, now I don't go with a cheap recorder myself, but another one I have is the H4n from Zoom, and it's kind of expensive, but I just enjoy using it a lot more.
How many different pieces of equipment do you have, John?
I never counted it. I don't know. I've got all kinds of different types of equipment. I've got, I guess, 3 video recorders that are, you know, standalone recorders.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a 12 camera system that sets up that I can put on tripods or around with cables that run in. I try to do that because I don't believe in wireless.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I have the feeling that the ghost can manipulate some of the electronics, and I like having the wire because it's harder for them to manipulate what I'm getting through my wire. Now, I've had some strange things happen on some of these investigations. You can go out and you can listen to a recording on your recorder, be live, it's there, transfer it to your laptop. You get back to the house, it's not on the recorder, it's not on your laptop, it has vanished. And so there are times when they play with you like that, and I can't explain it. I'm myself on some of that.
Yeah, that's true.
I think they think it's funny. Like, this person's clearly think they're going crazy. Like, did this actually happen? Did I mention this?
I don't know. Have y'all had it happen?
Not me.
Well, yeah, okay. Yeah, you're using your ears and a couple of cat balls, so yeah.
Not me because I say, okay, that's enough. We're not going to do this. Okay, I got to do this. I'm gonna do this for the people. Okay, you have
Yeah.
to listen to me. That's it. You know.
Well,
And
to me,
you know,
it makes
they
it
look
more
at me and go, "Who are you talking to?" I go, "Never mind."
it makes it a little more paranormal when you and the group have sat around, you've listened to that before you left the investigation, and you get home and it's gone. You know,
Yeah.
wow.
I mean, I can hear them too, but I still like to try and record it this way. It's like, I mean, like Irene says, if other people can't hear it, then they just think you're going crazy. But it's just good there to
Yeah.
be like, see it happen. I'm not going crazy.
Yeah.
That's the conversation. It's interesting for other people to actually hear what they're saying too.
Mhm.
Well, and that's why some of the clients actually call us and they're comfortable talking to us because some of them tell us things they wouldn't tell anybody else anyway
Mm.
because
Yep.
they're afraid. In some cases, I think they're concerned that they might be going crazy, and they're looking to us to reassure them that what they're experiencing is real and it's not in their heads.
Yeah. Sometimes
This,
you just they do that. I think they do it because they think it's funny. I'm gonna make this person think they're going crazy because I can.
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, I did go on an investigation last week where a gal was murdered in this house. And I didn't experience anything there myself. This particular time didn't catch anything on the recorders or anything. Uh, but I am suspecting after reading the newspaper account and some of the stuff that I was able to glean from the murder itself, that from what the people that are there now are experiencing, I'm thinking that she became that they actually both became kind of possessed by something that was there. And he took I was throwing him out of the house. They were having an argument. And he picked up a gun and fired a couple shots and killed her.
Yeah.
He's in prison, as he should be. But the couple that's living there now is starting to experience some of this. One of the neighbors told them about the incident that happened there. And so, in investigating a little bit and using my dowsing rods the other day, I was told it was not the girl that was there that was murdered causing the problem, that it was something else there. And so, I have a feeling that there was a possession that took them that caused all that to start with.
And
Now,
yeah.
people contact you and they feel like someone's been possessed? Do you help with that, or do you kind of like recommend someone else?
Well, I have mixed feelings about it. There have been times when I couldn't get somebody else to go. In fact, the 2 weeks ago, I had a call from a lady in Tennessee, and I was trying to get a group out there to assist her. She was being sexually assaulted by a demon at the time she called. And so I got into prayer with her. I couldn't find anybody to go that was close by. I have some friends in Kentucky and close by, some in Tennessee, but none of them were available to go at the time. So I called her. We had a Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it was on Facebook. Did a Facebook call with her, and we did some praying, and we got rid of it so that she was free from it for the night, and
Yeah.
left the next day. So there are times when I have stepped in. I'm comfortable doing it when I have to. I don't care to do it. I would rather have somebody that's professional do it. And back before COVID, a long time before COVID, in fact, used to, the Catholic diocese here in the Houston, Galveston area had an exorcist here that I had his phone number and I could call him and send him somewhere. And actually, the church would accept our investigation as just like it was their investigation. If we called them and told them we had a possession, they went and took care of it. And so people didn't have to go through the process twice of proving that they had a legitimate possession there. But I also have two ministers on our team that are willing to go in. One of them is a fifth generation demonologist. Uh,
Nice.
his family has done it for 5 generations, and he'll tell you about his earliest experiences watching his father do it. And so, when you have a lifetime of it, I'd rather
Yeah.
let rather let the professional do it.
Do
Yeah,
you
I'm the same way.
find that around? Sorry about that. Do you find that around like the southern parts? You're around the Bible Belt, right?
Yeah.
Do you find that religion and paranormal come like, yeah, we don't do this, like we don't talk about this, we don't want you to know.
To be honest with you, it depends on who you talk to in religion. Some people are, I think, just when I have found that when somebody doesn't want to talk about it, that just means that they don't have any knowledge about it,
Right.
and they don't have enough knowledge to want to talk about it.
Mhm.
If they had enough knowledge, there'd be no problem. We'd all talk. And
And
actually,
we would be hiding, and we
yeah,
would be not open about it, because there's a lot of times when they teach your children, oh, that's the work of the devil, right? But
but
it,
Yeah.
yeah, but at the same time, the whole Bible is supernatural. It's all paranormal. The whole Bible. So how can you deny it? And not only that, but the podcast on my channel, we've been doing now for the last 6 months, we have a religious podcast for one of the local churches. Just prior to my podcast, they piggyback on me. So I'm working with some, and that's the guy who is the minister that is a fifth generation demonologist and is the pastor at that church. So I'm finding that a lot of people are getting more open, especially the religious people are getting more open to it as they realize that the whole Bible is supernatural. I mean, angels are supernatural. Let's face it.
yeah, that's the thing that I'm trying to say, is that the whole of Japan is the customs, the things that we do are mostly paranormal, right? But
Right.
they don't want to admit it.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but they have a lot of ancestor worship. They really get into their ancestors. I mean, they're looking back, at death.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What gives? I don't understand. So I'm
yeah,
surprised to hear that it's kind of a taboo myself. I'm surprised.
yeah. And that's why Amanda and I are talking a lot more, and we're trying to show that no, it isn't, but it's like we're saying, hey, that's paranormal. They say, no, it isn't. Yes, it is. you know, and like they're shaking their heads, and we're going, okay, like, you know,
You know,
but yeah, I mean, like 90% of the stuff that we do regular wise, like we get up, we brush our teeth, we comb our hair, we blah blah blah, or take a shower, whatever, right?
you
And
know,
the things that we do on a regular daily um thing that we do can be, you know what, you're doing that. You're doing that because you don't want any bad juju. Yeah, I don't want any bad juju. Well, don't you know that's paranormal too?
Yeah. Now, the one thing about the Bible that does irritate me, though, when it comes to the supernatural, is according to the Bible, everything is demon, and then once you get more into paranormal, you're like, not everything. I mean, we don't believe everything is a demon.
no,
So,
no.
Yeah, yeah. Not everything is like what I had a lady who had a house in Alabama. And she said, "I got the demon in my house." I go, "Oh, really? Yeah." I said, I said, "What?" And she said, "What was it?" I said, "Oh, it was about 30 ghosts. That's all. 30 spirits that I had to cross over. Nothing else. Nothing bad." "Oh, no demons?" I go, "No demons."
Well, to some people, they don't understand the term demon. I
Yeah.
yeah,
I think that to them, a ghost is a demon.
Yep.
So
Yep.
they do.
yeah,
Yep.
they have no clue as to no knowledge.
The
Yep.
problem is anyone with a gift to them, a lot of them is if you have some kind of gift in the paranormal, then you must be possessed or have a demon attachment. Where it's just like, but that's not the thing, and you should not be afraid of people with gifts because
Yeah.
You being afraid of people with gifts is what's causing people to try and hide that gift.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I don't talk about some of the experiences I've had, because people think my cheese is spit off the cracker.
Yeah. Yeah. You're cuckoo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They want the little guys to come bring a white coat for me. So it take me away.
Hmm. Yeah.
So,
I think that's more like Amanda and me, because we could talk together about stuff, but we don't talk outside what we do.
right.
And I think it's frustrating because we can't,
Yeah.
but right?
I think that there are a lot of paranormal groups out there. There are thousands these days. And there are lots of places where, a lot of people are doing podcasts here and there. Now, some of them are doing the same thing as you see on TV right now.
Yeah.
But there are some that are like you and us that are trying to educate people about the paranormal.
Yes. That's
And there
actually
are places. Go ahead.
That's actually why we started our podcast. There's thousands of groups back in the US, in the UK, other places, but here in Japan, it's just me and her. So we're like, we're gonna try and get ourselves out there. Hopefully, maybe one day, if someone else in Japan is interested in it, they see that they're not alone. They can reach out, because right now, I mean, Irene can tell you, before I came along, she felt so alone here in Japan, being in paranormal. And then I came out here before I found Irene. I was thinking, like, man, I'm alone out here in a paranormal. What is with that?
Yeah.
Well, one of the things we're trying to do in our area, I don't know if you've caught the TikTok series or the Facebook series that we did. We're following the Alamo. We just completed it. It fell on March the 6th. That was the 13th day of the siege of the Alamo in Texas, when Texas was fighting for its independence. But I'm finding that a lot of historic sites have a lot of this energy still there, and that a lot of people, that's a good resource for them if they want to go out and try to experience the paranormal, that they might start visiting these locations. In particular, in the Houston area, what brought me to the Alamo and the Texas history and stuff is that Houston is going to be the largest city in the United States in just a few more years. It's going to be larger than New York, larger than Los Angeles, and it's already larger than Chicago. So, population wise, and these people are coming to Texas from New York, California, and Illinois. They don't know how to vote. They don't know what made Texans Texans. They don't know our history. They won't fit in. Unless they visit some of these historic sites and take in some of this history. So that's one of the things I have recently started doing, is going in and trying to promote the Texas history a little bit, tell the story of where we come from and what's here, and get people out in the public to visit these historic sites and experience some of this, and see if they can experience it for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a location they can go to that's free. In most cases, it's free. There's very little charges from the state here anyway for visiting historic sites. Now, I have run into opposition from the state in that a lot of them don't want to be associated with paranormal groups. You take Alamo here. I had talked to them about getting a permit to fly my drone at the Alamo, and they did not want to commit to letting anybody that was associated with the paranormal do an investigation of any kind there. And it's not the first time I've run into that at the Alamo, but at the same time, I can understand what some of our people that are into the paranormal are a little obnoxious, and they,
Mm-hmm.
and it might be that I don't want them there either, but
Yeah.
I would like that for legitimate people. But how do you identify legitimate people with a legitimate interest? It's difficult.
Yeah.
You definitely have to be careful about who you investigate with, because as I was actually saying this earlier today, that being in the wrong group when you investigate can actually get you banned from certain places, even though you didn't do anything.
Yeah.
That place associates you, that you were with that group, that disrespected their location or broke their rules, and all of a sudden they're just like, you can't come back, and it's like everyone cannot come back. So
Well,
they can just that one person can ruin it for the whole group.
sure
Yeah.
can. Sure can. And you should never disrespect a place or violate the rules or trespass. Period.
Yeah. I
Now,
got one interesting question. Do
go
you
ahead.
find that some parts of the history should be rewritten, and that whatever really happened, like when I talk to spirits, sometimes they'll tell me, no, this is not what really happened. This is what really happened. Do you find that some of the parts of history that they got it wrong?
There are parts that, you know, are wrong. No question about it. And I think history is being rewritten every day.
Mm-hmm.
And regardless of, if someone publishes information that they come across and they can document their information and put it out there, then technically it's been rewritten. It may take a while for it to gravitate into all, get disseminated through all the publishings and stuff, and be accepted by the community. It may take a while, but it's history's being rewritten every day. Every day.
Because sometimes when I talk to spirit, they'll tell me, no, that's not right. This is what really happened. And
Yeah.
no, this person killed me, or that happened that way. And it saddens me because I've got proof here from the spirit that got injured or died or was killed, and they're trying to tell me the real story. And here we got something that's written down in some dumb book that's saying it's different, and they're really frustrated because they're trying to tell you that's wrong,
Yeah.
Well,
and I can't tell anybody, right?
you can go ahead and write you a manuscript on it, on what your incident, and put it out there and let people know. I mean, that would satisfy the spirit that you've done what you can to help, get the word out, because that's what they were coming to you for, is to get help getting the word out. So, you're really, if you listen to the story, you're obligated to help them, really.
Yeah.
So that's part of the issue with the South is now trying to hide a lot of its history because it just wasn't good. And we're just like, yeah, history is not pretty, but it kind of needs to be known for future generations. Because, like they said, if you don't learn from the past, you're going to make the same mistakes. Yeah, the history isn't pretty, but it's still what happened. Then you go to places like Germany, where they said they're the complete opposites, where they know they don't have a pretty history, but they still make it mandatory for their students to go visit like the concentration camps and all those and the Holocaust museums and all that. They make the requirement because like, yeah, it's not pretty, but it's still our history. So you really need to learn about it compared to the United States, where unfortunately, like especially in the South, they just want to hide it all. And it's like it's not
It
doing
did,
any good hiding that
it
history.
never happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
all
Or
yeah,
destroy something. Yeah.
a lie. Yeah.
saying it's not pretty is an understatement, but it's still what happened, and we shouldn't pretend it never happened.
Yeah.
Sure. And
And the more we educate about what really happened, the more chances that the future generation will probably learn from it and understand it. You pray to God they do, right?
yeah.
They understand it and learn from it, right? And say, hey, this really happened, instead of making the same old stupid dumb mistake over and over again, right?
Well, there's two sides to that coin, to be honest with you. I mean, if the wrong people are studying it, we could have 30 more Hitlers next, if
Yeah,
that person is studying it and patterns right after Hitler, they can do the same thing all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully enough people know the history of everything that happened in World War II that
Mm-hmm.
allow that to happen. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it could. There are people right now across at least the southern part of the United States that I'm aware of. We have a Holocaust museum here too. They absolutely deny that it ever existed. That it's just a figment of everybody's imagination. It's propaganda. So
Yeah.
it's not. It's like we know it's not pretty, but it's what happened. So I don't know why we're pretending we sweep it
Yeah.
under rug. We'd be like, no, it never actually happened. It's just like
Yeah. And you know what? I hear young people say, "Oh, they're making a new atomic bomb, so it's not so bad, so you don't
No.
get hurt so much." I go, really? Like, like you see, my mom, she had radiation poisoning. She died before her 60th birthday, and she ran away her family ran away to Hiroshima. So yeah, I had personal experience, and and hearing that from people, I'm going like this, and it really bothers me because yeah, you don't know nothing.
Well, and you think that our government would protect our soldiers, and they don't. Uh, Take Agent Orange there in Vietnam during the Vietnam War. I mean,
Yeah,
our soldiers were exposed to it. They've died left and right because of it. And
yeah,
even the VA hospitals don't take care of our soldiers the way they should be taken care of.
yeah.
Uh, it's kind of a travesty and
Hmm.
uh, a pockmark on humanity in my book by the way the government treats our soldiers.
Hmm.
And it knows that freedom isn't free.
Nope.
These people have,
Nope.
their families have personally sacrificed, and in many
Mhm.
they've lost arms or limbs. The family has through divorces and untold sacrifices for our nation. Freedom is not free.
No.
These
Nope.
people are paying for it every day, and they're
Hmm.
not enough. And let's
And you
face
got PTSD on top of it, right? The psychological
it,
effects of war, and
you
yeah,
yeah, it's kind of pathetic. But if we don't learn from history about these things and not do it, I mean, there should be no reason we ever go to war. Technically,
Yeah.
in my book.
yeah,
Unfortunately, our government does not take care of any of our troops, whatever branch. I know they'll lie to people to get people to join, like, "Oh no, we take care of you." Then you when you actually join, you
Yeah,
realize it's not what you signed up for. It's not what you were promised. It's not fun. It's something you promised. You're just not getting any of it.
yeah,
and it,
VA is not easy to get. People struggle trying to get their VA benefits all the time, and it's a fight to even get a part of it.
yeah, yeah, constant fight. So hopefully things get better for them, and of course, speaking out about it helps wake some people up. The more that we talk about it, and the more some people will concentrate on trying to fix these problems. But
hmm,
there's a problem to start with.
yeah. And you know what? We got. I think the world's a big mess right now. If you ask me.
Well, if
And
you get back to religion, actually, one of our podcasts, are we in the end times? That's one of the things that we were covering on that in the book of Revelations and talking about how a lot of what we're seeing right now is a good indicator when you take it out of the Bible context. Sounds like that we are actually in the end times. So,
Yeah.
if
it,
that's buddy,
hmm,
that
The
yeah,
good?
Bible doesn't put everything in it, though. It just kind of back then, it's just what was put in it was what the whoever wrote whatever put in it what they wanted people to know back then. Not everything that needed to be put in there. It's just one of those. And this is my theory. It's also one of those things where some people, including myself, just think it was them putting things in there to justify what they wanted to do and their actions compared to maybe
yeah,
what was actually right.
There are some books that I think should have been included in the Bible that
Mary Mary Magdalene should have been included, but unfortunately they didn't want to include hers because it
yeah.
showed she was Jesus's right hand person where he confided in her the most, and people of like religion, they're just like, we don't want that because in a lot of religions, it's the male who's the figurehead compared to if
right
you
Yeah.
put Mary Magdalene's book in there, it was her that he confided in most. Like we don't that doesn't go with what we're saying or
And
what we
she had a really big role too.
yes.
And Yeah, and she did bring a lot of people, and she did uh, help preach the word of God. She did. She was right there with him, doing it together, working together as a team. And yet they're saying, "Oh, she's just a prostitute," right?
Yeah, yeah. Of course, you know, when you when you look at all the disciples and stuff that Jesus picked, uh, every one of them he picked was a sinner and a big time sinner. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh yeah, oh yeah, most definitely.
I mean, we have a tax collector and a thief, you know, and it goes on and on. So, you know,
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
for
There
sure.
there is a place in Japan, it's in northern Japan. It's kind of funny that it's in how do you say it? Aomori?
Aomori.
Yeah, so it's up there. So that's very up north in the Hokkaido area. That so according to legend up there, they believe when Jesus did his tour, one of the
Uh-huh.
places that the Bible left out that he toured was Japan.
Yep.
So there is like a grave there yeah, there's a grave up there that this town swears is Jesus's actual grave. They said like he actually someone else took his place on the cross and he traveled and came over here to Japan and changed his name. There's actually two mounds. One's supposed to be of his body. The other one was he had because according to them, the person who took his place was one of his brothers. He had his brother's hair that took his place and a lock of his mother Mary's hair that's supposed to be in the other mound. Of
Hmm.
course, if you go, I mean, a lot of people still go. It's still a very popular place for people to visit. But they say
Mhm.
if you actually interview a lot of the locals, they don't believe it is actually Jesus's grave now. It's just one of those kind of. It's a funny story. You can actually look up and see. They still. It's just one of those funny things. Like you still, if you believe in the legend or not.
Yeah,
Back
Well,
then, I
actually,
think they did, but now it's just one of those. It's we don't believe it's actually him anymore. It's probably just someone who traveled. It probably just foreigner traveled here, claimed that he was, and became a farmer.
yeah,
well, there's some things in Brazil too that are indicate that he might have been in Brazil. So
Yeah,
hmm,
it may not be so far fetched, you know.
yeah.
yeah. I mean, he might have at least traveled, but I can't imagine him coming here, changing his name, and becoming a farmer.
Or like in Ethiopia. Remember they said the um not the Holy Grail. I think it was the Holy Grail, but they have it in the Ethiopian church, and the man who takes care of it is blind.
Yes,
He's really old,
yes,
and yeah,
yeah,
and there are places all over the world that are like that, right?
yeah, 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 yeah. So
So, what is your favorite piece of equipment that you use on investigation?
well, my favorite is, like I say, that EDI data logger because it gathers a lot of information and it documents it on a graph that you
Yeah,
can, and it's got it second by second what the temperature is, the pressure is. How could you have a better record? You know,
yeah,
Yeah,
and if you got a videotape to go with some activity around it showing what's happening, hey,
yeah. It's always the
you got
best.
proof.
What is there any piece of equipment that you feel like maybe doesn't work as well as you feel like it could or should?
Well, I feel like a lot of people depend on the lights too much. Uh,
Yeah,
hmm, yeah,
and the reason for that is you see something, you know, but you film it, you see lights going off, but what have you proved? I mean, you haven't documented a reading, you haven't gathered any real evidence. You've got pictures of flashing lights. And so I like to use instruments that record things
mm,
and that I have a document that I can hand to somebody or share with somebody that shows what we actually got.
yeah,
yeah. For I feel the same way with the red light grid where signs that looks like it's a red light and looks like grid, so people use it to see if a spirit walks through. I know, and I've talked to a lot of teams who use it, and they just like, I just don't feel like it was worth the money because you get evidence from everything else, but nothing ever is with the grid. So
Yeah.
Well, actually, I have a grid that was interrupted on one of my photographs on Facebook where there is an outline, maybe shoulders and a head, that is interrupted the grid. You can see it plain as, and I didn't see it at the time, and I didn't even see it when I posted the pictures, But yeah, I have a grid, and I use the grid, and grid's a great tool. The little shadow figures, the laser light hits them, and it doesn't penetrate them. I mean, they stop the light, so if they are in there, it's going to affect the laser.
yeah, and that's also why I like posting pictures of the location and when I investigated. And I tell people I'm not promising anything is in them, but sometimes it's just the location. It's more of a second opinion, though. Too is maybe I didn't see anything at first, but then
Yep.
Hmm.
someone else with another eye was like, "Oh, you caught something right here. Do you see it?" I'm like, "Oh, I did not catch that. Thank you." And
Yeah.
it's just why I posted. Maybe it is interesting pictures of the location, so you can be like, "Hey, here." Sometimes if you want to see the haunted location, here it is. And there's also other people look at it like, "Oh, I see this. Do you see it?" I'm like, "Oh, now I do. I didn't catch that at first in there."
Yeah.
Well, I've had people send me pictures to analyze for them, and they say, "Oh, I got an orb here," or something, and it'll be crazy. I had one that was a picture from Christmas time, and they had Christmas lights out, and you could tell it was raining. The street was wet, and the flash went off, and there's flash coming off of one of the windows on the house, and they think that's an orb, and it's a reflection of the flash they just shot the picture with. And not only that, but the car over there, the license plate is lit up because it effervescence in the light, and the tail lights are red and showing and stuff. So you could tell that it was a flash event, and some of it is just misinterpretation
Hmm.
Yeah.
of what happened, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have some pictures of that were taken where we actually had a mirror that had it was cut glass,
Hmm.
and the flash hit it, and it made a funny pattern go on the ceiling,
Hmm.
reflected off the mirror and stuff. So you get a lot of weird stuff.
Hmm.
And look for that sort of thing because it does happen, and there's a perfectly logical explanation for it if you look for it. And
Hmm.
so,
Right. A lot of times it's also dust or a bug going by. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I caught a fairy," and it's killing like some insects just flying
Yeah.
by.
we've got
Yeah.
one of our
Yeah.
presentations. We've got a whole series of pictures of what dust looks like,
Hmm.
the different colors it comes in and stuff, and
Hmm.
how it's like an orb. We've got insects, we got water, moisture. Uh, we've got maybe 100 or so pictures of how that looks, so people get an idea of what they're looking at.
Yeah.
And
Do
another
you?
I've seen on a lot of people claim dust as orbs too because a lot of dust in the air. There are times when I've gone out on places, and if I turn my laser on and shoot it down, and I hit too many dust particles, I don't even take the picture
Hmm.
because I know I'm going to get a lot of backscatter from the flash on. So
Rest in peace says, I love the whole orb debate. Yeah, the orb debates on the internet go crazy sometimes where is it an orb? Is it dust? And it's everyone going against each other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen those or I just read the comments. I'm one of those people who I'm just here for the comments.
I orb that I saw in person in New Orleans, and it was the biggest orb. It was about this big, and it
Wow.
like like somebody had blown a bubble from one of those bubble toys that kids
Yeah.
have, and
Hmm.
it was big like that floating across the room, and that was a real orb. And after having seen that, man, nothing is an orb. They're orbs except when they look like that to me.
Yeah.
They can be small, but
Mm.
hey, if it doesn't look like that in my book, it's not an orb.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
So what would you say has been your most popular place that you've investigated? So like maybe a location that you can brag about, like, yeah, I was there.
Well, I have a number. There's one in New Orleans that we like there, where the guy that wrote A Streetcar Named Desire uh,
mm,
hotel. We stayed in that hotel. It's in the French Quarter in New Orleans. I forget the name of the hotel, but anyway, I love that place. It was very, very good. The Tremont House in Galveston, where a lot of the bodies from the storm, as the bodies were floating by, they would pull them into the second, third floor of the building to save, stack those bodies up for burial later. There was a lot of activity that we had in Galveston. Uh, I love the Alamo. Even the Alamo doesn't love me. And
mhm.
right now I'm doing some stuff out at Sanderson Battleground that I like out there too. So there are a lot of places that I like. There are a lot of haunted places around Houston itself. And I don't know. There's the Baker Hotel in Mineral Wells, Texas, that I've been to, but I haven't been in it. I've been at it, and through the doors and stuff, but they weren't letting people in at the time. But I would love to be in the Baker Hotel, which I understand is going to reopen soon.
Mm.
Oh,
Of course, we're in July planning to go to Waverly Hills Sanitarium.
Yeah.
ooh, yeah.
Do you find that weather creates more paranormal activity?
That's one of the things that I have a question about myself, and it's one of the presentations that I do on one of our podcasts that or one of our videos. I question about how weather affects it, and how the moon, even and sea tides and stuff are all affected by it. And I think that that's part of our recording and documenting process, is that we need to record these weather conditions. We need to know if there are solar flares going on. We need to know what the solar conditions are. And that's the only way we can tie it together to document whether or not it actually and how much effect it does have on the paranormal. I definitely believe that energy is available during these periods of time that is not normally present, and that we should have more activity. But let's see the proof. you know.
Because we have the rainy season here in
Yeah.
July. It starts in the beginning of July and it goes right through near the middle, the 20th or the 25th of July. And it's damp, it's wet, it's musty, but also you feel the energy is changed in the atmosphere, and you feel that, yeah, and it's just a little bit, it gets a little bit crazy. And there's another time that we feel that is that um in Tokyo, it's July 16th. We have the Day of the Dead,
Yeah.
so the spirits come back for a meal. You
Mhm.
feed the spirits, you send them back. So it's the most haunted month of the year. And where she's living, it's like the 24th and 25th of August. So it's very haunted. It's the most creepiest time of the year in Japan. So yeah, I mean, seasons and stuff like that happen. It's like, here we go again, like,
Yeah,
it's,
don't talk about it. Wow.
yeah,
Some
it's
places some places in Japan during like typhoon season have experienced more paranormal activity, especially cab drivers will say they have what they call the ghost cabbies,
mm-hmm,
where someone gets in the back of their car, they'll,
yeah.
request, to go home, they'll give them an address to their home, and you see them in the video, like in the back, they're there, the person, and they're actually having a conversation with this person,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
but then as soon as they pull up to the location, they turn around and the person's not there. And I know you
Or
hear those stories all the time where it's urban
yeah,
legend.
or the
That's
cab or the cab seat is all wet.
yes, they actually say that is the cab seat is all wet. Like the person's no longer there,
Yeah.
but you look at they look at the video. The person was there. You actually see the person there, but they might be wet. And then they just all of a sudden you see them like in and out start to disappear on a camera, and then they're just completely gone, and they're just left with a wet seat. And
Yeah.
We
The,
sure on all of our investigations sure do.
yeah.
yeah,
It's really crazy. Have you been to the Emily Morgan Hotel?
I've been outside it. I haven't been in it.
That's one place I want to go to
Okay.
because that is something else. Like the morgue on the basement,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And when I was looking at the picture, my friend sent me the picture of the Emily Morgan Hotel.
The
I
big.
saw a, a, a doctor on the 11th floor cut
Okay.
his neck, commit suicide.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, I mean, oh, it was in front of the operating room where he did it. He took a scalpel and like that,
Oh,
and I saw another vision where the operating room was on the top floors, right,
yeah.
and the morgue was on the basement. And they have a chute, like a laundry chute, where they after somebody died, they just throw the body down the chute to the morgue.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's one place that's really creepy haunted, but I really want to go.
Well, I guess that's going to move up on my interest list now that you told me the story. So okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Great.
I just, just looking at it,
You know.
sometimes I can go in there and I can see what's going on. And, oh, like sometimes I just, yeah, not
Well,
going to do that.
I've gone to San Antonio a lot, but I always stay at the Menger Hotel, and for some
Hmm.
reason, I'm just drawn to it. So it's
Yeah,
one of the oldest hotels in Texas. So
I know. My friend stayed at the Maker Hotel and he called me in the middle of the night. He said, somebody's choking me. Like he was like this, eh? And, and then as we were talking, we could hear a guy shooting off his gun, but there's no gun there, right?
yeah.
And it was a guy named James, and there's a lady named Sarah. She was a saloon dancer, right? He
Yeah.
had a fling with her in one of the rooms, and she had a kid out of wedlock,
Oh,
and James killed the little boy in the bathtub.
oh, wow.
So the little boy was in the bathtub,
Hmm.
and she apparently eventually he killed Sarah too, in the room. So
Okay.
yeah, there you go. There's a little bit of thing there.
Yeah.
And that's a really interesting hotel too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I'm very interested. I'm just kind of drawn to it. So yeah,
Yeah,
I stayed there a number of times.
yeah. Apparently, the 11th floor was the most haunted rooms, right? I don't know.
I understand the 11th floor. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Things really went on in that hotel too. And I
Yeah.
found a guy who was just reading a book. He had a heart attack in one of the rooms, so he wanted to be crossed over. So I helped him cross. I helped him,
Okay.
and but Sarah still's there, and James is still there, and I bet he's shooting up his 6 shooter in the room even to this day. You know that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of the most interesting, colorful rooms, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Something about haunted locations I feel like we're just drawn to, like, oh, I have to be in there now. I
Yeah,
don't. It's like that meme. Someone says something's haunted, you're like, tell me more.
yeah. Or let's go, like road
Yeah,
trip.
when are we going?
That's
Well,
what I was telling Amanda. I said, Amanda, you gotta come this way. She goes, why? We're gonna go to road trip. She goes, okay.
Don't have to tell me twice. We're going.
Yeah.
well, we have Battleship Texas here that is being refurbished right now, but it actually served in two World Wars, World War One and World War Two. Uh, and actually, we've had some investigations on it, and we found it to be haunted, but it's not overly haunted. There's just one or two ghosts there, but
Yeah.
it's a place that of interest that I like to go to also.
You should go to Lexington.
I intend to. I've been there. I stayed at a hotel by the Lexington. I was at a convention there, and
Mhm.
I see it from where I was. And my son, when he was stationed at Corpus Christi Naval Air Station,
Mhm.
there, he had some time that he spent on the Lexington, and some of the people that were using some of those single person uh, prop driven planes, the gliders.
Hmm.
They went over there and trying to land on the Lexington, and they wound up putting some of the anchor chain on the deck to keep them from doing that even.
Hmm.
But I never went on board it myself, but I do intend to, and they do have some haunted. You can go spend the night on it.
Yeah, I mean, if, uh, I would tell you, take the $50 tour because it will take you down the bottom parts where
Okay.
they're not where they don't allow people to go there. But if you take the $50 tour, you can go. It's called a hard hat tour. Okay, they'll
Okay.
take you around, but you can go afterwards. The tour is finished. You can go around and take pictures and document stuff
Okay.
and go on a real paranormal investigation doing that. So the $50 tour, hey, that's not bad, right?
Yeah. There are places that charge more.
Oh
Oh yeah,
gosh.
hell yeah. Oh heck yeah.
There's places in the book that charge like over $1,000, and it's just like, wow.
Yeah.
The Waverly Hills Hotel the Waverly Hills Sanitarium costs that, but we're going team, and actually it's going to cost us about $100 a person.
You have to have a dedicated team that you know that's not going to drop out, so you're not
Yeah.
trying to care. Luckily, it's a big enough location that you can do that. Same thing with USS North Carolina. I looked into that one day, but I believe it was going to cost about $1,100. And I'm like, I would have to have a dedicated team of people who's going to go and not drop out for that cost. Luckily, it's a big enough location, but it's also trying to get people coordinated to do that as well.
Sure.
But that's a big ship, That's a
Yeah,
big ship. So you have to have like certain teams that go this part, that part, and that part because you're not going to be able to. Yeah, it's just there's just a whole lot of area to
Yeah.
investigate in that one.
Yeah.
and as you always have to switch locations on that too, because I've done that where we've done like in smaller groups in a bigger area, and it's always interesting when you investigate the place, but then like you split up the team, and some teams have more luck in one room or one area compared to other rooms. Some teams might not have any luck at all. One team
Mm.
might have like all the luck.
Well,
Yeah.
getting back to, is everybody ready for those ghosts to appear?
Yes, how respectful are you? Because a lot of times, if you're not respectful, you're going in there like you're gonna appear to me because I want you to. Then a lot of times you're gonna be like, nope, I'm just gonna sit here in a corner and watch until you leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It
I've had
does.
I have been in a haunted location where I was with the group though too, where I could tell just by the energy and how they're not were being respectful in one of the haunted rooms that they were not getting anything, and then I just kind of got them away, and I'm like, okay, well, you guys go here now. I'm gonna go there, and as soon as I walked in, and I was the only female in this group. As after they left, I walked in. And it was supposed to be the woman's room. The woman sprayed perfume so I could smell it. I'm like, this isn't my perfume. It's woman's perfume. It's not mine. Then I also heard. Then she said, and I caught her saying, "Thank you." I started laughing. I was like, yep, she did not like those guys.
Well,
She
I don't.
literally said, "Thank you." And I'm like,
Well, that's one of the things I teach some of our investigators too. Is that when you shower to get ready to go, be sure and shower before you go, and use non-fragranted.
yeah, I
Odor.
never.
Yeah.
I didn't spray anything on either. So this way, if someone says I smell perfume, they know it's not me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I make sure I don't wear any of that stuff. I don't use my lotion. I don't use any spray. I don't use any of that smell good stuff for that reason. Is I don't want people thinking they smell something and it's me.
Well, a lot of times that's the first indicator you got that something's about to happen is an odor.
That perfume, yeah.
It may be the smell of cigarettes. It may be cigar. It may be a pipe or perfume or flowers. Yeah, you don't want to mask any of that. So you want to be sure that you're protecting the environment so that you're able to, you know, register what's happening.
It's interesting here in Japan
You-
also.
Yeah,
It's interesting here in Japan also when you do an investigation compared to what a lot of people. Sometimes people just go into a place back in the United States and they just start investigating. Here in Japan, before you enter a haunted location, you kind of ask permission from the spirit. Can I enter your home? May I speak with you? I'm not here to harm you. May I speak with you? It's just if you don't, that's when someone friendly kind of turns. Oh, okay. You just walk into my house and disrespects me. Kind of
yeah,
turns into that. It'd be like someone just barging in your house and demanding to talk to you, compared to maybe
Mm.
bowing and just be like, "May I enter your home? May I talk to you? I'm not here to harm you. I just want to talk to you."
yeah. Put their foot in your door where you can't close it on them.
Yeah, that's how
That,
they feel here if you don't ask permission first.
Or you get sick, or the next day you're in the hospital, or the next day you're dead. That's what
You
happens.
have a bad attachment. We've heard that too, and it's
Yeah,
just
I mean, yeah. And a lot of times you'll see videos on YouTube that people go into this haunted area in this country, right? And they don't feel good. So they wind up in the hospital the next day, they're in a casket.
yeah, yep.
And these people really don't know what they're getting into.
yeah,
And they say, "Well, I'm gonna go to this haunted area." I said, "You really want to go?" Yeah, I think twice about doing that, right?
Mhm.
well, they just
And
barge in there without,
yeah, and they're not protected. They're not really. They don't know what they're doing. They just want to go there for the thrill of it, I think.
Yeah,
or to say they investigated in Japan. There's some YouTubers out there that do that.
yeah,
Unfortunately, they are trespassing, and you also see in a video of them hiding from the police. And I'm just like, I don't want to be caught trespassing, so I
Yeah.
have to call the police.
there are a lot of places that don't allow you to go, but I have found people too that one night I was in Louisiana
Yeah,
in the cemetery, and I was attracted to the cemetery, to be honest with you, and I saw people out there, lights and stuff, and I could see that they were stealing the flower containers out of some of the monuments and stuff. I called the police.
That's sacrilegious,
yeah.
stealing
And
something from a cemetery.
Oh
yeah,
God.
I went over there while the police were making the arrest, and the owner for the cemetery showed up, and he said, "Oh, I'm so glad you called." And they said, "Anytime y'all want to come investigate our cemetery at night and keep these people out, you are welcome. Just give me a call, let me know you're coming." And actually, I have found too that a lot of times if I go to some of those places, and I have permission and stuff, I call the police first, say, "Hey, I'm going to be here," because we
Yeah.
have the police arrive while we're at a cemetery, and it has been interesting. One night, somebody called and turned us in, and I think we had about 6 carloads of cops show up, and they wanted to know what we were doing. And once we explained to them what we were doing out there and everything, they were cool with it. It was
Yeah.
not a and so they left. But we've had some interesting experiences with the police, and I would certainly suggest that everybody wear team shirts,
Yeah.
Mhm.
at least maybe a lanyard with an ID badge that is a team badge that you've gone out and made yourself, to show that you are credentialed, that you are part of the team, and that you are a team. So if you have something like that come up, they know you're legitimate and that you're really part of a team. You're not just making this
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh,
Yeah.
another question I want to ask you. I forgot about it, and I remember. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Some cemeteries do have dark entities.
Mm.
Have you ever met up with one or two?
Hmm.
And I know some of them do protect, and I know some of them don't like outsiders in their cemetery. And it's like if you go near it, they will scratch you.
Yeah.
And have you had any experiences with that?
I personally haven't had any places where I had any marks on me whatsoever or any resistance on my person, but I've had team members that did. Now, I don't know. In retrospect, some of those team members may have been more on the dark side themselves and may have not been. It may have been that the entities were trying to tell me something by attacking them, So, I don't know. But it's a thought that, it's a possibility that they attack people that deserve to be attacked.
Do
Yeah.
you think that like sometimes when I'm on a podcast, like somebody I'm watching it and I said, don't go there and don't touch that tree, and some jerk says, go and touch that tree, and he just got like that on his leg. I said,
Yeah.
why didn't you listen to me? I told you not to do that. And I get so mad because I'm saying it, don't do it, and they're telling, and spirits are telling me, tell him not to go near there, and he does it anyways because some moron told him to do it, right?
Yeah.
You were warned.
And I said, I told you not to do that. Why did you do that? Why didn't you listen to me? And yeah.
Well, the good part of that is next time they will listen to you because they'll know what you're talking about, and
Mhm.
so there is a good point to that. I wouldn't get upset and angry about it at all. I kind of more laid back myself. Things happen for a reason. We don't always understand the reason at the time,
Mhm.
but I've come to believe that very strongly, and that hey, don't get excited about it. You don't need to. And I believe in karma. Karma will come back and bite somebody in the butt. Just
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
just give it time, and it will. You see people that appear to be doing things that they shouldn't be doing, and they always seem to get away with it and everything. But you know what? In the end, karma's going to bite them in the butt, and
Mhm.
it will more than make up for it. Trust me, more
Oh
than make.
yeah. It's like tenfold, right?
Yeah, yeah. So just be patient. Be patient.
I love that whole meme. What's your ideal job? Karma delivery service.
That's a good one. I like that
Like,
one too.
man, I wish that was. I'd be applying every day until they got sick of me. It's just let me give me the job.
I don't know that I'd want to hand that out myself because that could be. But at the same time, it might be that when you do, you'd just be laughing your butt off too. It might be an enjoyable job. Who knows? It depends on what you know about the person you're delivering to.
Oh, yeah, especially if you know they deserve it and you're just sitting back laughing and you're like, karma finally caught up with you.
Hi, I'm Karma. I'm here for you.
Yeah.
It's time to pay.
It's
Have
but
you ever
it is.
investigated an area that someone may have called you out? And I've had teams have this issue where they were called out to investigation and they just did not think it was haunted at all. But they're like, I believe the person really they're hoping a team says it's haunted because they want to, charge people, or hotels are trying to charge more to stay in a haunted location. So like, and they found they faked a bunch of evidence in there. And they're like, yeah, we caught them faking stuff, trying to make it look haunted. They're hoping that we, as the team, say it's a haunted location, so they can be like, oh yeah, well John says it's haunted, so come, pay more money than you should be to stay in our hotel because it's haunted.
Yeah.
I haven't run into that myself, that anybody has done anything like that. I have had some experiences, though, with people that one of them was a local jail. It was an old jail in one of the local jurisdictions. I won't mention its name. But the police officers we had heard stories about the place, and we had asked if we could come investigate. They said, "Oh, sure, come on." So we got out there one night. Actually, got out there in the afternoon, and we spent till late in the evening. But we found that they had planted some magnets here and there to cause your electromagnetic, your EMF detectors to go off and things like that. And as we
Yeah.
discovered some of these things, they lost interest in our group. They were watching us and everything. And we were providing them with entertainment is what we were doing,
Yeah.
and they were, laughing about how, we were out there and everything. And then when we started finding their plants, then they got serious and went to work and they ignored us. And that was pretty much the end of the investigation. So it wasn't as haunted as they said it was. They had made it that way. But hey, it is okay. As far as I'm concerned, it was a good joke,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and it gave us an opportunity to debunk some of it. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. That's always good to do due diligence because we've had a group that we were also talking to that no matter how many investigations they did or what evidence they caught, they still had someone that like I'm still a skeptic, so I'm there to disprove everything they think is paranormal. I'm like, no, that's good. That's what you need to be doing compared
Mm.
to not saying everything is paranormal. I wish I could say everything is paranormal. Unfortunately, it's
Yeah.
not.
But there's times when you can't really, something did happen and you can't really
yeah,
redo it or
Yeah.
try to make it and debunk it. But, and they said, did that really happen? Like, like, hold on a second. But yeah, there's only once in a lifetime when you feel that way, right? And
yeah,
it
Yeah.
only happens once.
yeah,
And yeah, so you really have to, you can't debunk something a lot of times when it only happens just once,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think,
So
skeptics um keep us from going too much this way.
Could be. But
So
a lot of times somebody that's a skeptic just is saying, "Show me," or "Show me something," And a lot of them want to believe it, but they just, but they want evidence that tangible evidence that they can, relate to.
like, how can you make a spirit talk to you, right? How
I
can you
wish,
make a spirit come up and say hi? Like, no, that doesn't happen like that. I'm sorry.
you wish that was the case, but it's not. They'll do what they want to do.
Yeah. And when they want to do it and however they want to do it, right?
Yeah.
Well, not always. Now, I've had real good luck. Like I said, I've used dowsing rods almost all my life. Uh, I'm 78 years old now, and so I learned this as a teenager. So, I've used these dowsing rods a good 60 years. Uh, but that's one thing that I have come to trust a lot. And when I want to convince somebody, I show them how to use the dowsing rods.
Mhm.
They always work. They've always worked for me. And the way I show them and instruct them, it works for them. And I'm real pleased with the results I get.
Mhm.
And not only that, but my wife died a number of years ago, and she generally goes on a ghost hunt with me. And if I have to, I can call on her, and she generally cooperates with me. And
Is
so,
that who I see behind you all the time?
yes,
She's a clairvoyant, so
yeah,
she'll. Yeah, I actually saw her too earlier, but I'm like,
Yeah,
eh.
I'm just looking at you, and you know what? My cat's here, right?
yes.
He's telling
Yeah.
me that there's
She,
something
my
there.
wife was a witch, and so yeah, the cat. I was going to ask you about the cat. The cat caught my attention too.
Yeah, and he's trying to sit in front right here,
Yeah, they're trying
and
to.
I
Yeah.
had to make him
Yeah,
sit over here
yeah,
because he really wanted to tell me something.
yeah,
And looked and said, "Okay, I got it." Yeah,
yeah. It's my wife, but she's always with me, and
yeah.
goes on ghost hunts with me and stuff. And I can call on her to help me with the dowsing rods. And my goodness, I put dowsing rods in your hands; they're going to work, and you will walk away a believer because you can feel the power in the dowsing rods. You can feel it. And
Mhm.
the way I teach it is a little different. Well, my hand's not showing up on camera, but I had you put the handle in your hand on your hand here, balanced over your finger, and so they're pointed down, and you're not in control at all. You're not touching the handles. They
Yeah,
rotate. You know,
yeah.
I believe
Yeah.
in the little handles with the bearings in it or anything. I just put it on my fingers, and they'll point them down, and they'll work.
Yeah.
So once I have somebody demonstrate them how to use the dowsing rod, and I let them use the dowsing rod, and they feel that, they're convinced. There's no doubt in their mind. Absolute.
Did your wife like apple pie?
My wife was a fantastic person.
Because she's telling me right now, I want a slice of apple pie.
She was a pie person, yes.
Don't ask me how I know. Okay, I just know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever he tells you, so just know it's true. Yeah.
And something tells me she liked a nice cup of tea with a lemon, slice of lemon in it. I don't know.
She drank a lot of tea. Yes, she did.
Yeah. See, yeah. I mean, people find it's creepy because I do this, right? But she's saying, I want a slice of apple pie, and I want a cup of hot lemon tea.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what she's telling me.
Okay.
And if you have a plate on the table, you tell your wife, "There's your apple pie, and I made you a cup of tea with a little bit of lemon in it. There you
Okay.
go, dear."
Okay.
And you know what? It satisfies them, and they'll do extra more for you
Mhm.
because you gave them an offering.
Yeah. 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 I'm finding that a lot of the Native American beliefs are like that, where they are always giving offerings and stuff too
Yep.
to the spirits. And I'm finding that I agree with a lot of what the Native Americans say. Man, we offended those people something fierce as a race, the white race,
Yeah.
and I think that we did wrong by those people. I wasn't in charge at the time myself, but hey, I share a lot of the beliefs that the Indians have, and I believe that they are on the mark in a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Japan does the same thing where there's a lot of offering to the dead as well out here. So we
Mm-hmm.
always say it's funny how a lot of beliefs are offering to the dead, but when it comes to the paranormal, they lock it up and throw away the key and refuse to talk about it. And a lot of people are starting to realize that when they want to come out here and investigate, they're like, "Yeah, but no one's willing to talk about it. You can't really get in any places. Anything information wise is deleted." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's just that's how it is out here. You're not gonna
Yeah.
find anyone else to talk about it or keep information on it or answer you about it. They're just gonna act like they can't hear you. It's
Mm-hmm.
just
And you find that a lot of old land that had a lot of history on it, a lot of bloodshed, the people who owns the land cannot keep it because of taxes that are put on the land as of today. So they have to sell it off. And guess what happens, right? When you sell off the land, guess what happens when you build on it, right?
Yeah, spirits are not happy.
Oh,
no.
yeah. And you got samurai warriors going in and out of the walls of apartment buildings that they want $1,300 a month for rent. And yeah, and they're brand new. And so, my apartment is haunted, but yeah, they can't tell anybody, and nobody's. And when you ask what the history of the land is, they're not gonna write up anything either. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's like it's good luck.
Even professional teams with their people who do research for them cannot find anything out here, and it's like we can't find anything more for you either. Sorry,
Yeah.
that's just how it is out here.
Yeah, and so we end up kind of like looking for the spirit world to find out what really happened, so we can get some answers, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes us a long time to do that.
Well, I'd say, yeah, y'all hang in there. I think things will change. That y'all are bound to be making a difference. To at least some people, and
Yeah.
over time, you'll break through.
Did you hear that, Amanda?
Yeah, I mean, we're hoping. We're honestly hoping. It's not easy out here, but
Well,
it's
I'm sure it's not, but things that are worth doing, if they were easy, they wouldn't. But
yeah.
you
And
know,
that's also why we love having guests from other places come on, like yourself, because you can educate us on you things in Houston, but we can also answer any questions about Japan because I mean, how else are you going to know about it? You can't really research Spanish Japan. I mean, we are. Here's your research.
Yeah. And there are a lot of similarities that go on and that coincide. We can agree more than disagree, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Uh, that's why I find it so fascinating talking to people from different areas and talking to people from other countries and stuff like that, because you're not only hearing, you're learning something, and every day is a learning experience with us. And not not one thing is just like this. It's not like that. It's like it's like a whole different plate of food that you have on your plate, and you're just trying out different things all the time, and you're learning it, and you're learning your experiences, and you're sharing them with other people who may have the same thing, or may not, who really want to listen. And it's so fascinating to me, because it's like opening up a brand new book each time.
yeah,
Well, I think that I learn something I know every day that I didn't know before. Every day I learn something new, and actually, I wouldn't feel good about myself if I didn't. Uh, I make it a point to try to learn something new every day. So
yeah. I mean, we still learn new things all the time, no matter where it is, especially out here in Japan. That's the one thing I always tell people is how I started out before me and Irene really connected. Is I started the Bella Spooky Tales on TikTok just to be, and I started out speaking a lot about the urban legends of Japan, and I started also branching out to other things, though, other places too, just be able to tag those other places, and that's also how I've met other people because they're just, especially when I talk about places in the UK or even in Scotland, a lot of people will be like, "Oh, I've been there," and I connected that way with them, and then that's also how they kind of found me. But there's so many urban legends out here in Japan that there's like I bookmark this page with a lot of them from like A to Z, and it scrolls so far down because there's so it's almost endless how many urban legends are out here in Japan, and it's unreal. Almost everything I swear would have has an urban legend. Maybe Irene knows so
Hmm.
many different urban legends out here. Like she doesn't know all the urban legends because there's literally thousands of them.
Yeah.
Thousands. It's so weird how there's thousands of urban legends on this island's not as big as people think. On this one island, but they don't want to mess with the paranormal or anything similar to it.
yeah,
Have you seen a shapeshifter?
uh, I haven't seen one myself. Now I had a guy on that had some experiences with one on one of my podcasts, but I haven't seen one myself that I'm aware of. Let me put it that way. I have seen some weird stuff, and some were wolf type people. Was it a shapeshifter? Possibly, but could I really swear? No.
Like incubus and succubus, right?
Well, those are real, and actually, I probably dealt with more of those than shapeshifters. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm, there you go. Right. um yeah, that's kind of, I noticed my friend has a piece of land in Indiana. She has a shapeshifter on her land, and I know it dragged her by her head.
Oh wow.
And yeah, she got really injured, but she got scraped up. But and her land is also Cherokee land, so, and it's also kind of like a burial land where she lives on.
Sure.
So yeah, I'm helping her, trying to work with the spirits there too.
What
And
area? What area is this?
yeah, it's a lot of work. Let's put it that way.
What
Where's
area
it
is that in?
located? What state
Hmm?
is what state is she in?
Indiana.
Indiana. Okay. I was curious because I know that out in Utah they have a lot of that going on right now too.
Yeah. And the funny thing is that if we talk about somebody that did us wrong, they go after that person.
Oh, really?
They'd be hearing us right outside. We were outside and we were doing this, right? And they went right after that person. They said, "Hold on a second. Yeah, we can't do this anymore. We can't wait. No, 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 no." And you can't take back what you say, right? Because
Yeah.
they'll just, okay, we're going to be like, I go, oh. Yeah, did we just see that? And they go, yeah, we just said that. I said, shoot, we shouldn't say anything, right? And she goes, yeah, I know.
Oh,
Yeah. They go, oh, like, yeah. Now what do we do? I don't know what we do. Like, like,
yeah.
like, yikes, like that. But yeah, they do listen, and they do hear everything that you tell them. So you have to be really careful about what comes out of your mouth.
Well, I believe that a lot of these things that we're dealing with are interdimensional in nature too,
Yeah.
and that's how they disappear on us. Is that they go through a portal and
That
travel.
is that is actually one of the theories of Bigfoot that I kind of support as well. Some people think that Bigfoot is interdimensional being, where he kind of the reason why he just disappears is he jumps through a portal. So then that's why you're like, where did he go? And you can't find his where he sleeps or anything like that because he just kind of jumped through a portal, and it's just
And I've
someone.
seen some of the pictures of Bigfoot, and the surrounding area is like just like the pictures that you see through spirits. They're distorted. They've got
Yeah,
a hue to them that is not normal. Okay,
Yeah.
and it's really I can't explain it, but I'm in a Bigfoot group, and
yeah.
I'm learning as I go along. But it's just a little bit different, right? When you see that, and the pictures are not this. Their pictures are not this way, but they're like this.
Yeah.
They're scattered on top of each other, and the grass is like in so many lines, and sometimes they go this way, sometimes they go this way, and it's really hard to see through it. But when you look at it, you really have to look at it through different kind of eyeballs, right?
Okay.
And it's kind of freaky, but it's really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
um Another thing is that have you aside from paranormal, is there any other area that you do find interest in? Like, um, there's a lot of people that find interest in UFOs, um, Bigfoot, and other supernatural things.
I've had an interest in Bigfoot. In fact, but to be honest with you, I haven't been so interested that I wanted to go look for one myself. Now, I say that in that respect, in that I do have a member of our team who got involved with the Bigfoot.
Oh, really?
She has told me that she has befriended a Bigfoot and that she is working on that Bigfoot to allow me to go out and visit with them and meet this Bigfoot. So, anyway, I'm looking forward to that adventure to see what happens. Uh, I
When
don't
you do that, you should come back and talk to us about it.
know. Okay. So anyway, I do have that opportunity presented to me, and I don't know when this will happen, but hopefully pretty soon. Now, I have chased UFOs. When I was in the fire department one night, I was driving. I wasn't. I was off duty. I was home, but in my car, I had a police frequency radio, and I had lights on my car. The sheriff's department was in pursuit of a UFO right close by. Uh, so anyway, it was too much for me to resist, so I joined the pursuit. So I have gone out of my way a little bit to pursue UFOs, and I have gone to a couple of MUFON meetings. In fact, I had tried to get a MUFON guy on a podcast on the 25th of last month. He didn't show up, so that didn't happen. But I do have other interests, and I try to look into all the areas of the paranormal a little bit, because you never know when you're called as a paranormal investigator to investigate different things. And that's why on my terms of the day and stuff, I have some UFO stuff in there, some alien stuff, because you don't know when you're going to be presented with information from other sources. And you need to have a little knowledge of everything in order to be able to maybe refer it to a group that's more specialized in this
Yeah.
other area, that you're not specialized in. I tend to stick with the ghost end of it, more than anything. But I do sample the others very much.
Yeah.
That's really cool because, one doesn't eliminate the other because they kind of like going hand in hand.
Yes, they do.
Together.
They do go. They. A lot of things are in common, very much
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Like the
John-
interdimensional travel. I think that that the UFOs are interdimensional. I think that the Bigfoot is interdimensional. I think a lot of these things are interdimensional. Perhaps even the shapeshifter.
There you go.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, so the United States government came out and admitted that there are actually aliens, and there are some here on Earth. And the funny thing is, they're more upset by the fact that no one was shocked. It's like, we already knew, okay?
Yeah.
Don't know what you're trying to hide at this point, but yeah, we're not shocked by it at this point.
I guess they were expecting us to go out and slit our throats because we
Yeah, we just at this point we're like, we already knew. We just knew at this point you were covering up. So
Yeah.
tell us
Give
something
us
we
another
don't
story,
know.
okay?
Yeah, it's like, we knew. And a lot of people are like, they seemed upset by the fact that no one was shocked.
What do you think about Area 51? Do you think it's
And
20
yes, you can
baloney
say
or
that.
what?
do I think it's a real area?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's a real area. In fact, there are a couple of tunnels that I have been privy to that run across the country underground that are military in nature, that go from different areas like 51 to different other military locations, so that they can maneuver and travel unobserved.
There is a theory that I used to live in Montana, and a lot of people out there knew that they actually moved everything that was in Area 51 to a secret location in Montana.
Okay.
Ooh.
And they could do it underground if they wanted to.
No, there is secret. There is secret bases in Montana. One was in Billings. The reason why I know that is sometimes, as the people obviously come up to do, go to the store or whatever, and some of the people they had down there are not as secret as if they really should be. I also had a friend, he was just out driving randomly in the country, and he accidentally found one of the entrances, and it's just all of a sudden his truck was surrounded by by all that, and he's like, "I'm sorry, I didn't know. I still would have known." It's just...
Yeah, put up a sign that said private road or something. You don't have to get your government to just keep people off the road.
Trying to explain yourself out of that one, right?
Yeah.
Like, oops. What?
But not only that, but there are a lot of activities that go on where you have these black helicopters that existed for years that were going on, and they denied the use of these black helicopters. We had them over Houston all the time. In fact, I was negotiating with a guy to get something done. I was going to shoot one of them down that didn't exist. I mean, if it doesn't exist, you can't shoot it down. You
Yeah,
know?
someone said MIB, and I'm like, no, it's funny that you said that because there's actually been people who's they saw a cryptid or saw something they shouldn't, and then all of a sudden they see someone MIB looking person kind of coming out, and it's like a lot of people are saying, I'm like, yeah, MIB is probably based off of something
It's
real.
based on something that's really happening.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
they could actually. That's probably why they made a movie of it, so we wouldn't think it's real, and we actually saw it.
Yeah. But actually, I have believed that there are men in black for quite some time myself.
Yeah,
And in fact, if you try to report them, you get nowhere.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes people are like, yeah, some of them, there are different races in the MIB unit. Yeah, because some people said that they've seen people at, the MIB, but their faces, it's like, I can't explain it because it's just, it's real, but the person didn't look real. You can't really explain it. It's just didn't look like an actual human.
Look
If
like
they
they had
weren't
some
walking
makeup.
and talking, you'd be like, is this a real person or is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't met any myself personally, but
That means you saw someone you weren't supposed to see too.
they'd come visit. Yeah. Of
Yeah.
course, I don't guess they're privy to all the information either, because probably some of the paranormal things we see they would not be happy with,
Yeah.
or report. But of course, there are so many of us and so many people out investigating this sort of thing. I don't think they can control it, to be honest with you. And I think that's probably why they're giving up on some of it. They're getting more lax on it. Just let it run. So
I think there's a lot out there that we don't know as far as paranormal, uh, as far as UFOs, as far as things that exist.
Yeah.
And I think we're just hitting the tip of the iceberg of it.
Probably just scratching it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
I
more
thi-
to learn. There's always more to learn.
yeah, I think there's a heck of a lot that maybe we're not ready to know about it. I don't know. But yeah. And in
Well,
the spirit world too,
yeah.
because I've had some spirits tell me that they're guardian angels. I had some spirits tell me that they have a job. I had some spirits tell me that they're there to um protect people.
Yeah.
Um and I think there's a lot there, that some information that I got and some information that I really don't know yet, right? So
Mhm.
Your
Yeah.
cat's still on the show.
I'm still trying to figure that one out.
Yeah. I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah,
Well, ladies,
Brett
I've
said,
enjoyed it, but I'm going to have to go.
oh
Okay.
yeah, that's what I was about to ask you. I'm like, I know we probably went over the time you allotted us. So that's why I warned you before. Once you get us talking, we can talk all night. So I'm like, you gotta go, you
Yeah.
gotta go, or we're gonna keep you talking all day.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's just so much that there's to talk about. There's so much out
Sure.
there that's so interesting and so misinformed and everything else there, that we just want to set some kind of record for something, right?
Sure. Sure.
But
And I'm
John, if
glad
you
that you came on. I'm glad that we were able to talk to you. It was really an invigorating time, and thank you so much.
You're welcome.
if you
Thank
ever want to come back on the show, let us know.
you. Okay.
And come back for that Bigfoot thing, because I really want to hear that one.
Okay.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I said, you're invited to come back. Just let us know when you want to come back, and we'll get you back on.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good, Amanda. Appreciate it.
All right.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
we had a good time. We hope you do come back, and we'll talk to you later.
If you publish this somewhere, send me the link and I'll put it on my
Yes,
site.
I do Spotify and YouTube. YouTube is weird. Every time I post it on YouTube, you'll get it like 24 hours later because for some reason YouTube was like, I'll post it in 24 hours. So I'm like, okay, thanks.
No problem. Okay. But if you'll send me the link, I'll certainly share it.
Okay, definitely.
Okay, thank
and
you very
everyone
much.
watching, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.